What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Movie Emporium's movie review of Top Gun Maverick, the newest film from director Joseph Kosinski. Now, before we begin, if you like this video, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome, hit that like button as well as commenting below on any video that you watch, including this one. Top Gun Maverick is of course the newest film in the Top Gun franchise, which came out 36 years ago, believe it or not. It actually brings back Tom Cruise as Maverick and sees Maverick as an experimental test pilot. He's basically testing these new generation of fighters. Well, because of how good he still is in a fighter jet and how good his skills are when it comes to, controlling the skies, he is basically brought back to Top Gun in Myanmar to basically recruit, or not recruit, but train a new generational group of fighter pilots who are the best in the best of the world to go on a special ops mission, which is not only has to be very skillfully done, but is very dangerous in its own right. And so he basically has to test them for 3 weeks to get them ready for this mission. Well, because this is a Top Gun movie and is dealing with the scars of the past, one of those individuals is of course played by Miles Teller, who of course plays Goose's son. And on top of everything, he has to deal with the brass, of course, of Top Gun, and one of the characters played by Hamm. He has to deal with the situation with Goose and his son, and he also has an old flame or old love interest he has to deal with, which of course is played by Jennifer Connelly, who plays Penny in this movie, who of course has a daughter. So basically this movie is a Top Gun movie. It has a love interest, it has him going against the brass of Top Gun, him having to be the best of the world, to train the best of the world, and there ends up being a spec op mission that they have to deal with near the end of the movie. So when it comes to Top Gun Maverick, I was never really anticipating this movie very much, and for the simple reason that it's been on kind of the wait list for quite a while. I think almost 20 years now at this point. It's a film that at one point was supposed to be directed by Tony Scott. It was supposed to bring back most of the main characters, except for of course Anthony Edwards' character. But it was because of the length of time and development hell that this film has been going through, and then you had the death, of course, of Tony Scott. It became one of those kind of legendary films that never seemed like it was going to get made. But the thing about Tom Cruise, and the thing that makes him so important in the annals of movie history, is when he finds directors and when he finds individuals that he likes working with, he will give them almost every single project of his to work in. So Christopher McQuarrie he's worked with in a lot of the Mission Impossible movies, and one of the other individuals that he's worked with at least one other time is of course Joseph Kosinski, which he worked with in Oblivion. And so with that said, Tom Cruise found his director in Joseph Kosinski, because as bad as I think Tron Legacy and even Oblivion are, they still have interesting concepts. They're shot very, very well. You have actually Only the Brave, which starred Miles Teller, and I found that film really enjoyable. So Joseph Kosinski seems like a perfect fit. But the problem is, can he handle the whole fighter pilot situation? How good is his action direction and all that good stuff? But as this movie kind of took shape, I became super kind of excited for it. It was a film that once we heard kind of the storyline, once we heard what it was going to do, I think it became more and more apparent that this movie could be something truly special. The original Top Gun, like I said, is a special movie, but it is very dated for what it's worth. And then the first trailer came out for this movie, and I was on board. I didn't put it in my most anticipated list, and I kind of regret that, but I was on board. I was excited to see this movie, and then of course CinemaCon happened. The film, of course, was well received, which is kind of an understatement. It had rave reviews, and here we are. The movie's finally released after 2 years of kind of been pushed back because of the pandemic. And what do I think of this movie? Well, I don't use expletives very often, but I will definitely say this. This movie's awesome. It really is. This is a movie that I was completely blown away by. It 100% lives up to what people are saying about it, and is a movie that is not only relevant to this day and age with what it's trying to do, but it's pulse pounding, it's exciting, it has emotional core to it, it has some great performances, but is a movie that if you love the original, you will actually find this movie much, much better than the original. And that's saying a lot, because that original is actually fun and entertaining for what it's worth. But there are stakes in this movie that are much more important and prevalent to even what the original Top Gun did. And on top of everything, it has, callbacks and fan service that absolutely works for this movie. It really does. There are points in this movie where you get the emotional impact of what Top Gun, the original movie, did, and you can see it in the face of what Tom Cruise's Maverick is having to deal with. The fact that he's going up against, Rooster, who's the Miles Teller character, and having to deal with him. The fact that these, new brash fighter pilots, including one that's named Hangman, are, not listening to Maverick and having to deal with that. Him going up against people like the John Hamm character. It's a movie about the scars of the past, how they affect the future, and what it is for an individual to have to deal with so much emotional resonance from a place that he has a lot of emotional impact for in the past, and how does that affect him for the future and everything he has to deal with on top of everything. And it's a movie that really just resonates and really feels impactful for what it's trying to do. But what makes this film really interesting and what makes it so great, and I'll talk about some negatives, but what makes it so great is how Tom Cruise has set himself apart, not only in the action space, but in revitalizing what his characters are. So Ethan Hunt and of course his character of Maverick are individuals that are very important to the 90s and 80s, but they feel so close and personal, I guess you could say, to him as an individual. He's looking back on his career. He's finally getting older in age. I think he's like close to 60 now. And I really feel like this character of Maverick, is a little bit of Tom Cruise himself. Back in the 80s when Top Gun came out, it was about a brash individual, about a guy who was really good at what he does, but very against the grain, I guess you could say. And here it feels like he really understands that he is getting older in age, and he wants to instill that into what his character is doing. And it really shows, his kind of love interest with Penny and the Jennifer Connelly character. There's a lot of emotion there. Even though she wasn't in the original, you really feel like there is a purpose and a history to each individual. And it's really just kind of impactful. There were points in this movie, especially when we see Val Kilmer again, and when we, are dealing with everything that he's dealing with in the past, with the death of his friend and stuff like that. It really gets to you. It really does. And especially if you love that original film, you might actually start tearing up, because these are things that are important to the story. They really resonate well. And I just found that really kind of, it was interesting to watch. It really was. It really gave me goosebumps, and it really gave me, no pun intended, it gave me goosebumps, but it also gave me an interesting look into what Tom Cruise is doing at the later stage of his career. But we cannot not talk about how good the aerial combat is in this movie. This is stuff that is just so well done, so well shot. Apparently there was 800 hours shot in just the aerial dogfighting and stuff like that, and the aerial combat training and whatnot, that it's impressive to watch. They actually are in the cockpit in this movie. You see the close-ups of each individual actor as they're in the plane, but I'm pretty sure that the individuals, including Miles Teller, did not fly these planes. You can kind of tell if you look at it closely that there's probably someone behind them. It is shot in a way where it actually is very effective, so it really feels like these individuals are flying. But my God, it is intense to watch. It is crazy, especially when you get to the third act and you see what they're doing, and it just is one of the most impressive movies I've seen in quite a while. This is going to get all the technical awards when it comes to the Oscar season, because it's just that good. But once again, you have to give it to Tom Cruise, because apparently he actually flew a lot of these scenes in this movie, except for the ones which are very technically involved. But for the most part, when you see Tom Cruise in the plane, he's actually flying that plane, and it's a testament to what Tom Cruise can do. And the aerial stuff is just mind-blowingly good, and I got goosebumps, and I was tense, and I was, for through the last 30 to 40 minutes of this movie, you're just like, oh my God, what am I watching? And then you watch it in IMAX, and then when it goes to the full screen IMAX, it's just like, holy cow, this is awesome. And just everything about this movie is awesome. It's not a perfect movie. The dialogue's still pretty terrible. It does do a lot of fan service, so there might be a little too much for some people's taste. I think the score's all right. I think it's Lauren Balfe did the score, he's worked with Tom Cruise for quite a while now, but his score was all right. I guess you could say it does some things with, John Hamm's character, which I thought was all right. Bringing in some of these fighter pilot characters, the best of the world, are all right. But the thing that makes it a negative is always been what Top Gun has been, which is a little cheesy, which has been at this point a little fan servicey. But in the end, those are more like nitpicks. I mean, John Hamm has to work with a script that's not really that great. And like I said, there are conveniences which move the story forward and give it a little problematic material. And like I said, a lot of stuff could never happen in real life. In the end, it is a Top Gun movie. If you really like that original Top Gun movie, you're going to be ecstatic by what you see in this movie, because it really is a much more confined, much more structurally sound movie than the original Top Gun ever was. And that's not to say the original Top Gun movie is bad. I'm just saying that this movie is a much, much better movie with much, much more interesting emotional core to it. So in the end, when you go see Top Gun Maverick, which I'm sure a lot of you guys will, it's a great movie. It really is. It's a fantastic popcorn movie. It shows Tom Cruise at his best and really is a movie that has a lot of impact with not only the original movie, but with what Tom Cruise sees as himself as a actor in his older age. And it's just a fantastic movie with amazing aerial scenes and combats and stuff like that. So overall, highly recommended. Probably the movie of the summer for me at this point, unless something else comes around that I don't know about. I don't think Jurassic World is going to do that, but right now, this is the movie of the summer. So, and with that said, that is going to be my take on Top Gun Maverick. Thank you so much for watching. You're probably going to go see this movie, so in the comments below, what do you think of the original Top Gun? Are you looking forward to the sequel? All that good stuff. But otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.